When a rock star dies unexpectedly, the question of how they died can loom as large as the memory of how they lived. If the post-mortem math doesn't add up, it divides public opinion on how to interpret the circumstances. Multiple theories emerge, and it can be difficult to differentiate suspicious positions from legitimate suspicions. Some allegations belong to a constellation of baseless rock star conspiracy theories. When Elvis checked into the Heartbreak Hotel in the sky, for example, a handful of shook-up fans denied that he even died. Ignoring irrefutable proof of his passing, Elvis truthers cited Elvis sightings and a tombstone typo as evidence that the king staged his demise. This is rock stars who died under suspicious circumstances. A Mississippi queen kills her mountain king. Rock and roll royalty bowed to Felix Popularity, a music school dropout who often outclassed major musicians. He could play virtually any instrument. Also a virtuoso at arranging music, Popularity produced multiple albums for Eric Clapton's group Cream and hammered out much of their hit single Strange Brew. Afterward, he became the bassist for Mountain and the basis for its sound. As the New York Daily News detailed, Mountain frontman Leslie West credited Popularity with teaching him many music do's and don'ts. After Mountain's popularity peaked with Mississippi Queen, Popularity departed the band to save his hearing, but he kept busy with narcotics and extramarital affairs. Popularity had a very open marriage with lyricist Gail Collins, who wrote the strangest lines of Strange Brew. She tolerated his tomcatting until 1982, when Popularity fell in love with would-be singer Valerie Marians. Collins mourned their moribund marriage. In April 1983, Popularity returned home after making bedroom music with Marians and wound up with a bullet in his neck. Collins had shot him with a handgun he gave her as a gift. She then called her attorney, who advised her to call 911, which she hadn't done. When talking with police, Collins called the incident an accident during a 6 a.m. firearms training session. Detectives discovered the ripped-up remnants of the couple's marriage certificate in the trash, and understandably weren't convinced. A jury, however, was. Collins spent 2 years in prison for negligent homicide. Satisfactory explanation. Brian Jones. Brian Jones named the Rolling Stones after Muddy Waters' Rolling Stone Blues. He also assembled the band, imbuing its tunes with rhythm and blues. Those blues were painted black in 1969 when Jones got fired from the band and died a few weeks afterward. Partly relying on eyewitness testimony, a coroner concluded that Jones drowned in his swimming pool during a drug-fueled misadventure. However, subsequent statements muddied the waters. The musician spent his final night alive with girlfriend Anna Wolin, friend Janet Lawson, and builder Frank Thorogood. Lawson recalled that Jones and Thorogood went on an ill-advised midnight swim after consuming pills and alcohol. But when she spoke with a private investigator decades later, her version of events evolved. As Rolling Stone recounted, according to Lawson's updated account, Jones and Frank Thorogood had horsed around in the pool around the time Jones died. She saw Thorogood shaking badly before seeing Jones' body. In 2005, Anna Wolin made similar assertions, telling The Independent she thought Thorogood inadvertently killed Jones during some sort of horseplay. She added that Thorogood made no effort to aid Jones. Mayhem goes from black metal to bloody murder. Formed in 1984, Norwegian band Mayhem birthed black metal, which The Guardian described as the most extreme form of music imaginable. Mayhem weren't just dark, they made black holes seem like sunlight by comparison. The members sported stage names like Necro Butcher, unironically hailed Satan, and chucked animal heads at audience members. That's the tame stuff. Bassist Count Grishnik and guitarist Snorre Ruch would serve prison time for church burnings and murdering fellow Mayhem member Euronymous. Grishnik insisted it was self-defense. He and Euronymous had a falling out over finances and politics. Then Euronymous supposedly threatened to murder Grishnik. According to Black Metal Evolution of the Cult, Euronymous habitually threatened people, and even bragged that he attempted to poison someone. Overall, he wanted to out-evil people, and sometimes he succeeded. Euronymous once assaulted someone with a broken bottle. He also prided himself on photographing a dead bandmate and apparently mailing pieces of the deceased's skull to other black metal musicians. Most people dismissed Euronymous' threats as grim games, but Grishnik wasn't playing. In 1993, he arrived at Euronymous' door with a knife. Bandmate Snorre Ruch, who drove Grishnik to the crime scene, said the slaying was premeditated. Grishnik later maintained that he just wanted to beat the excrement out of his foe but was attacked. Either way, he ended up chasing and attacking Euronymous, who was found with 23 wounds, some from Vikernes' knife and some from allegedly falling on glass during the struggle. People are strange. His end was stranger. Jim Morrison was so awesome that paleontologists named a prehistoric lizard after him. The Doors' lead singer had looks, locks, and lyrics. Equal parts poet and rocker, Morrison sang with entrancing intensity and howled like a musical Ginsberg. He lit everything up with Light My Fire and showed off-the-cuff creativity when performing the end. But when 27-year-old Morrison met his end in 1971, the world was kept in the dark. Morrison died in Paris on the 3rd of July, but Rolling Stone noted that Doors manager Bill Sidden didn't inform American news outlets until the 9th of July, 2 days after the legend was laid to rest. Journalists had heard days earlier that Morrison died, but when they tried to confirm what occurred, they were told the singer simply needed rest. Before discovering otherwise, French reporters even wrote that he had minor malady. According to Morrison's death certificate, he had a heart attack. But nobody conducted an autopsy. Morrison's wife claimed he coughed up blood before apparently passing away while bathing. This supports reports that Morrison died of a respiratory ailment. However, the singer supposedly seemed healthy beforehand, and Pam apparently didn't witness his death. Band photographer Bobby Klein told The Guardian that the Doors' producer told him Morrison mistook heroin for coke and fatally inhaled it. Musician Marianne Faithfull blamed an ex-boyfriend, telling The Telegraph her former beau sold Morrison powerful heroin, inducing an accidental overdose. Authorities miss a clue about a missing musician. In 1992, Manic Street Preachers guitarist and lyricist Richie Edwards drunkenly moonwalked on top of a bar. Why? Because he was happy. That anecdote demonstrated a facet of the rock star that his fellow preachers felt people overlooked. According to NME, sadly, the other facets didn't moonwalk. Edwards suffered from depression and regularly resorted to self-harm. Edwards' sadness saturated his work, most notably the album The Holy Bible. As The Guardian elaborated, his lyrics often referenced his personal demons. At the time, his bandmates interpreted his lyrics as a journalistic exploration of the cruelty of humanity filtered through Richie's amazing intellect. In retrospect, it sounded like a cry for help. In February 1995, Edwards went missing from a London hotel. After 3 weeks of searching, authorities located his car at a bridge where people often end their lives. In 2008, Edwards was presumed dead. However, many people reject the notion, noting that Edwards publicly stated he would never take his own life. Moreover, in the days preceding his disappearance, he consistently withdrew substantial sums of money from an ATM. There have been several unconfirmed sightings over the years. In 2018, Edwards' relatives learned the guitarist's car arrived at the bridge 12 hours earlier than originally thought. So for 20 years, requests for information have focused on the incorrect window of time.